Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So Vergil, Ortiz, and Erikson Lubin fought last night, and Erikson Lubin, he got the short end of the stick. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Vergil Ortiz, he looked good. But for anyone out here thinking that Vergil Ortiz is improving or getting better, listen, Vergil Ortiz is the same Vergil Ortiz. You know, he has intelligence, he has IQ. He's going to put pressure on you. He's going to come forward. If you allow him to put you on the ropes and you just sit there in a high guard and you're trying to counter him with your back on the ropes, something that Erikson Lubin doesn't do well, you're not going to win those exchanges. Okay? So in the first round, Lubin, 75-inch reach, and he couldn't really jab. He wasn't able to slow down Ortiz, and he wasn't able to get any respect. It didn't look like he had much snap on his punches either. You know what I'm saying? I was expecting Lubin to have a little more pep in his step, a little more snap on the jab, show a little more power. He's a southpaw. I saw that he was losing a foot battle. Vergil Ortiz had Lubin was moving to his left, which was walking into Ortiz's right. Lubin wasn't jabbing and stepping out to his right and creating the angles and keeping it and winning the foot fight, keeping his foot outside of Ortiz's. Now, I watched that because, I used to fight southpaw. And I'm like, these guys are professionals. And I just did it in a couple of amateur fights and then smokers and training, just being all over the damn world traveling and always finding a boxing gym and going in there sparring. So, but it could be this Ortiz was just doing something that made him uncomfortable in the very first round, where Lubin, whatever the game plan was, he kind of threw it out the window. Many people feel that watching that fight, they felt like, damn, Lubin should have stayed with Coach, what's his name, Cunningham? The guy who was training him from St. Louis. He was also training Adrian Broner, and he was Devin Alexander's head trainer, the retired police officer. I think his last name is Cunningham. I could be wrong. But anyway, they felt like he should have stayed with him. But I'm going to tell you that just watching that, Ortiz deserves all the respect in the world, because in the first round, you could see that Ortiz had kind of taken control. He hit Lubin with, I think, a right hand in the first round, and you could see Lubin felt that power. You know what I'm saying? He felt that power. And I can just tell you from being a guy who's been hit, when you get hit with something hard, you give somebody respect because you're like, yo, this person can hurt me. And then the second round, you just saw Ortiz. Robert Garcia told him, in the corner, he was like, hey, just relax. You got a whole fight. But that was beautiful what you did in the first round. The second round, you can just see the reason why Lubin went back onto those ropes like that is because he's retreating. He's worried about the power. He's trying to get away from it. And he got on the ropes, and he was looking to see the shots coming. He was trying to cover up. But what Ortiz did was brilliant. He was shooting around the guard and then pulling it down. And he caught him clean on the chin. One of those shots, Lubin was out on his feet. And I'm going to tell you, I heard somebody say, this is BS. It was a premature stoppage. No, it wasn't. If that referee would have stopped that fight, Lubin would have got hurt badly. He was out on his feet. He was gone. He would have came crashing face first to the canvas. And normally I make jokes about chest to the canvas, ass in the air like at a Diddy party. I'm not making any jokes about this one. Lubin was about to get hurt badly, man. So for me, to see Lubin coming off of 3 consecutive wins, I'm just like, how? Who, what, when, where, why, how? Did we get to this point to where Lubin gets in the ring with Ortiz and just looks like he doesn't belong in there? It looks like everything that he's learned in his entire professional career, he just set it aside on this one night. It's supposed to be the biggest night of his career. The return, the resurrection of Erikson Lubin. And he just doesn't show 1/100th of what we know he has in him. And it could be because Vergil Ortiz is that special of a fighter to where Vergil Ortiz made Lubin look like he didn't belong in the ring. That's what special fighters are supposed to do to great fighters. Now, for Vergil Ortiz, he's a pit bull. You know what I'm saying? We know Aesop Cruz is the quote-unquote pit bull, but Vergil Ortiz, no kidding, is a pit bull. I always said, you got to kill that dude, man. If you don't kill him, he's going to be right there fighting. And he's going to fight hard. It's what he loves to do, and he showed it last night. Powerful jab, powerful hook. That left hook is a problem. The right hand is a problem. Vergil Ortiz has IQ. He can box, but he likes to fight. But you can see that he's been able to intertwine his IQ with his come forward pressure style. So the head movement, the first two, 3 rounds are dangerous for anybody. But he just happened to he helped the stars to line up. The stars didn't just line up for him. He was setting the traps and using the angles and using the right footwork and head movement to make sure he was able to make Lubin uncomfortable. And he just walked him to where he wanted to have him, which was on the ropes, and he unloaded. Now, as far as Vergil Ortiz going forward against Jaron Ennis, look, Jaron Ennis hasn't fought anybody like Vergil Ortiz, all right? And on paper, Vergil Ortiz passes Jaron Ennis passes the eye test. On paper, I want to say Jaron Ennis is going to win this fight. But I got to be honest with you, I don't know who wins. Because we've never seen Jaron fight somebody like Vergil, and Vergil's never been in there with anyone who's received the praise of a Jaron Ennis as being the no kidding next pound for pound champion. So how does that fight go? Well, one thing, Jaron should not be on the ropes doing what Lubin did. Jaron doesn't do that. The next thing is Jaron does know how to use his reach. Jaron is more explosive. And the other thing to point out, Jaron doesn't have the wear and tear that Lubin had. So for Vergil Ortiz to just think he's going to come forward and do to Jaron Ennis what he did to Lubin, I don't see that happening. I think Ortiz, he's there to be hit, and I think he's going to get hit. My concern with Ennis is when he starts throwing them wide shots. The punch that's going to damage Ennis, if he gets reckless in there, is going to be that Ortiz left hook. I know Jaron has a good chin. I know Jaron likes to fight too. But it doesn't make sense to fight Vergil Ortiz's fight. Vergil Ortiz ain't trying to get on his toes and float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. That's not Vergil Ortiz's style. So in my opinion, Jaron Ennis, he can box, he can punch, he can brawl, he can free swing. He needs to come in there, man, and use a combination, like a little Chinese fried rice, a little combination. And go in there and use all that, and I think he'll have no problem with Vergil Ortiz. Vergil Ortiz is going to be there to be hit. But Lubin was scared to throw his full jab. He wasn't getting the full extension on his jab. Lubin fought a scared fight. You know what I'm saying? Jaron Ennis ain't going to fight scared. He got all the confidence in the world, all the momentum in the world, and he truly believes he's going to beat Vergil Ortiz. So, in my opinion, Vergil Ortiz got to be careful. He ran into some shit when he fought Kavaliauskas, getting into early exchanges with someone who could crack too. And Ortiz was losing those exchanges. I just think he has to be careful that in the first couple rounds, messing around with Jaron Ennis, where all of a sudden Ortiz gets clipped. Because his corner, if they, you know what, Robert Garcia, as far as telling Vergil Ortiz, slow down, you got 12 rounds, or 10, 12 rounds, whatever, he can't tell that, what he said to Lubin, he can't tell him that when it comes to Jaron Ennis. He better not come and slow down and you got a whole fight. Nah, he'll get blasted up out of there. He got to come in there, in my opinion, and jump on Jaron Ennis immediately and make Jaron uncomfortable. But he's got to be able to sustain that kind of attack, that kind of deliberate offense. He got to be able to sustain that over the course of the fight. Because when it comes to who has the better stamina, I got to say Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis has an endless gas tank. And Vergil Ortiz has an expanded gas tank. And most fighters have really good stamina. So Ortiz has an expanded, means he has better stamina than majority of the professional boxers, but Jaron's is endless. Mayweather's was endless. Devin Haney's is endless. Terrence Crawford's is endless. Alexander Usyk was endless. Lomachenko was endless. That makes a big damn difference. So Vergil Ortiz has to be careful. Anyway, can't wait till these guys get in the ring and scrap. I like the little back and forth last night in the ring. You can see Vergil Ortiz was holding his ground, but he's in Texas. He's feeling himself. Jaron got in the ring. Where was Eddie Hearn? Anybody know what happened to old fast Eddie Hearn? Maybe De La Hoya scared him off and shit. Talking about facing off or doing something inside the phone booth. You know Eddie Hearn, deep down, Oscar De La Hoya deep down. Yo, he want to punch Eddie Hearn in the mouth, man. He really doesn't like Eddie Hearn. And Eddie doesn't like him. They're just doing business. But before I get out of here, I want to say this. I'm not confident First, I'm talking like the fight's gonna happen. I'm not all that confident the fight's gonna happen. I'll be honest with you. Because Oscar keeps talking about, this is Vergil Ortiz, as everyone knows. It's all about Vergil Ortiz. He's basically saying he's the A side. Yo, if Eddie Hearn and Oscar were trying to negotiate a fight and Turk Al-Sheikh's not involved, this shit ain't gonna happen. Vergil Ortiz is the A side. What they think? They're gonna get a 75-25 split? It's gotta go to purse bid. Eddie Hearn gonna probably try to get that, but I just don't think. I have a deep feeling this shit ain't gonna happen. Eddie Hearn wants to run the show. He feels his guy is the draw. Vergil Ortiz wants to run the show. Oscar De La Hoya wants to run the show. He feels Vergil Ortiz is the draw. I'll tell you what, if they fight in Dallas, then you got to be real about who's really gonna be pulling the fans in. Jaron's gonna bring a lot of people, but really it's Vergil Ortiz. He's from Texas, Dallas Stadium. They're gonna fill that shit up. It's a Mexican versus a black fighter, the boxer versus the brawler. You know what I'm saying? This has all the elements of a really good fight. I just am not sure it comes off unless Turk Al-Sheikh gets involved. When Turk is in the house, every day is Thanksgiving. Turk Al-Sheikh gets involved, I think, then cool, because now you don't have to worry about purse splits. Turkey negotiates with Vergil and Oscar. Whatever they negotiate, they get. Then he negotiates with Boots and Eddie, and whatever they negotiate, they get. So it's not going to be this, we got this $10 million, and we're going to give, 75 to Vergil and, 7.5 to Vergil and 2.5 to Jaron. Nah, Jaron could come and negotiate more money for the fight than Vergil can when you work it independently with Turk Al-Sheikh. So we'll see what happens. But it's a step in the right direction to have them both in the ring, kind of going at each other. That was cool. That was nice. But at the same time, we saw Earl Spence get in the ring with Fundora, didn't we? And what happened? Nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So as far as what's my expectation as far as this fight happening, it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Until I get an announcement like we got for Shakir Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, a no kidding announcement, and then I still got to see the first press conference. But that don't even matter. You got to get them in the ring. But anyway, man, good job to Vergil Ortiz. Lubin, best of luck to him. Maybe he's just been too much hard sparring, too many tough fights, been fighting too long. You know what I'm saying? That was his opportunity last night to really get to the big stage, to really get into a real championship fight and do the business. But he fought a tough guy. Vergil Ortiz is no joke. He's got his shit together. But the fight just looked weird to me. I ain't gonna lie. How Lubin just everything that this man has been able to do, just threw it all away in the first round. He just threw it all away. Anyway, again, I'm gonna say Vergil Ortiz probably had everything to do with that. Anyway, y'all keep cool. We'll do 2 more videos, go jogging, and I'm going fishing in the breeze.